Maya and Mia Torres sat in Dr. Patricia Wilson's genetic counseling office in Austin, Texas, holding identical envelopes. The 26-year-old twins had ordered ancestry DNA tests as birthday gifts to each other, a fun way to learn more about their heritage. What should have been an entertaining exploration of their Mexican and Irish roots was about to destroy their family. Before we review your results, Dr. Wilson began carefully. I need to explain something unusual that the testing revealed. Mia, you share maternal DNA as expected, but according to the genetic analysis, you don't share paternal DNA at all. The twins stared at her, confused. What does that mean? Maya asked. It means you're fraternal twins with different biological fathers, Dr. Wilson explained gently. It's called heteropaternal superfecundation, when two eggs are fertilized by sperm from two different men during the same ovulation cycle. It's extremely rare, with only about 20 documented cases worldwide. Mia laughed nervously. That's impossible. We were born 7 minutes apart. Same mother, same pregnancy. How could we have different fathers? Your mother would have had to have relations with two different men within a very short time frame, usually within 24 hours, Dr. Wilson said. 2 separate eggs were released during ovulation and fertilized by different sperm. You grew in the same womb, were born in the same pregnancy, but genetically, you're half-sisters, not full sisters. The words hung in the air like a detonation. Maya and Mia had been inseparable their entire lives. They'd shared a room until college, finished each other's sentences, felt each other's pain. The twin bond was sacred to them. And now they were being told it was based on a biological impossibility that meant one of them wasn't their father's biological child. Which one of us? Maya whispered. Which one of us isn't Dad's daughter? Dr. Wilson pulled up the genetic report. The testing shows that Mia shares DNA markers with your father, Roberto Torres. Maya, you don't share any paternal DNA with him. Your biological father is someone else. Maya felt the room tilt. Roberto Torres had raised both girls since birth. He'd been at every soccer game, every school play, every milestone. He'd walked them both down the aisle at their weddings just last year. And now Maya was learning he wasn't her biological father at all. Does this mean... Mia's voice cracked. Does this mean Mom cheated on Dad? I can't speak to circumstances, Dr. Wilson said. But biologically, yes. Your mother had relations with 2 different men during the same ovulation period. Whether that was consensual, whether there was infidelity, whether it was a complicated situation, those are questions only your mother can answer. The twins left the office in stunned silence. They sat in Maya's car for 20 minutes before either spoke. We have to tell them, Mia said finally. Mom and Dad, they need to know. Do they? Maya asked, anger creeping into her voice. Mom clearly knows. She was there. She knows she slept with 2 men. She let Dad raise me believing I was his daughter for 26 years. Why should we reward that lie with the truth? Because Dad deserves to know, and because we need answers. That evening, Maya and Mia sat their parents down in the living room of their childhood home in Austin. Roberto, 58, was a construction contractor, a big, warm man who'd always been their hero. Carmen, 56, was a high school teacher, beloved by students and strict with her daughters in the way only Mexican mothers can be. We need to talk, Maya began, her hands shaking. Mia and I did ancestry DNA tests, and the results showed something impossible. She handed the genetic report to her father. As Roberto read, his face drained of color. Carmen went very still, her eyes fixed on the paper. This says Maya isn't my biological daughter, Roberto said quietly. Is this a mistake? It's not a mistake, Dr. Wilson said. We have different fathers, which means... Maya turned to her mother, rage and pain warring in her voice. Mom, what did you do? Carmen's composure cracked. Tears began streaming down her face. I never wanted you to know. I prayed you'd never find out. Find out what? Roberto demanded, his voice rising. Carmen, what is this report talking about? How can Maya not be my daughter? Carmen took a shuddering breath. 26 years ago, we were trying to get pregnant. Remember? We'd been trying for 2 years, and nothing was working. I was on fertility medication that made me release multiple eggs. And one night, after we'd had a terrible fight, you'd gone to stay with your brother. I went to a bar. I was angry, hurt, lonely. Oh my God, Roberto whispered. I met someone, a man. We had one night together, And then you came home the next day, we reconciled, and we— Carmen couldn't finish the sentence. 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. With twins. I assumed they were both yours. It never occurred to me that each baby could have a different father. But you suspected, Maya said coldly. When we were born, when I started developing features that looked nothing like Dad's family, you suspected. Carmen nodded miserably. When you were about 2 years old, I started noticing differences. Mia looked like Roberto's family. Dark skin, his nose, his build. But Maya, you were lighter, different features. I told myself it was just genetics being random. But deep down, I wondered. And you never said anything, Roberto said, his voice hollow. For 26 years you let me believe both girls were mine. You let me raise Maya as my daughter, love her as my daughter. She is your daughter, Carmen cried. Biology doesn't change that. You raised her, Roberto. You're her father in every way that matters. Except the truth. Roberto stood, his hands shaking. Except honesty. Except giving me the choice to know the truth about my own family. If I'd told you, you would have left, Carmen said desperately. You would have divorced me, taken Mia, and Maya would have grown up without a father. I was protecting our family. You were protecting yourself, Mia said, speaking for the first time since the revelation. Her voice was cold, controlled. You were protecting your marriage, your reputation, your comfortable life. You weren't thinking about Maya, who deserved to know her biological father. You weren't thinking about Dad, who deserved the truth. You were only thinking about yourself. The accusation hung in the air. Carmen looked at her daughters, both of them, though now she knew only one was Roberto's biological child, and saw the damage her decades-old lie had caused. Who is he? Maya asked. My biological father. Do you even know his name? Carmen hesitated, then nodded. Michael Brennan. He was a lawyer in town for a conference. We spent one night together. I never saw him again. Find him, Maya said flatly. I want to meet the man who's actually my biological father, since apparently the man I thought was my dad for 26 years isn't. Roberto flinched as if she'd struck him. Maya, I am your dad. This doesn't change. It changes everything, Maya shouted. Years of being the calm twin finally breaking. My entire identity is a lie. I spent my whole life believing I was Roberto Torres's daughter, that I was Mia's full sister, that I belonged to this family completely. And now I find out I'm the product of Mom's one-night stand, that half my DNA comes from a stranger, that Mia is my half-sister, not my twin. You're still twins, Mia said quietly, reaching for Maya's hand. We were born together, raised together. We're still sisters, but not the same, Maya said, pulling her hand away. You're Dad's biological daughter. I'm not. You're the real Torres. I'm just the mistake Mom made that Dad was too good to abandon. She walked out of the house, leaving her fractured family behind. Over the next week, the Torres family began to splinter. Roberto moved out, unable to look at Carmen without feeling betrayed. Mia tried to play mediator but found herself caught between her mother's remorse and her father's pain. And Maya began the search for Michael Brennan, the biological father who didn't know she existed. The DNA test that was supposed to reveal their ancestry had instead revealed a secret that divided the family, challenged their identities, and forced all four of them to confront questions about what makes someone family: biology, love, truth, or choice. 2 weeks after the revelation, Maya sat in a coffee shop in downtown Dallas, her hands trembling as she waited for Michael Brennan. She'd hired a private investigator who tracked him down in 3 days. 52 years old, corporate attorney, married with 3 children. He'd been shocked by her phone call, confused, then devastated as she explained the DNA results. When Michael walked in, Maya saw her own features staring back at her: the light brown hair, the hazel eyes, the narrow nose Roberto had never shared. This stranger was genetically half of who she was. Maya, Michael said, sitting down carefully. I still can't quite believe this is real. Neither can I. Did you tell your family? My wife knows. My children don't yet. I needed to meet you first, to understand what happened. Michael's voice was strained. I barely remember that night 26 years ago. A work conference in Austin. A fight with my wife over the phone. Too much to drink at a hotel bar. I met a woman, Carmen. We talked for hours about our lives, our problems. One thing led to another. I flew home the next morning feeling guilty and never saw her again. And 9 months later, she gave birth to twins. One yours, one her husband's. Maya said flatly. I had no idea. If I'd known you existed, you'd what? Left your wife? Acknowledged your illegitimate daughter? Or would you have preferred Carmen never tell anyone just like she did? Michael flinched. I deserve that. But Maya, I want to know you now, if you're willing. I have a sister, Maya said. Or half-sister, I guess. Your daughter. Her name is Lauren. She's 27, a year older than me. Do you think she'll want to meet the product of Dad's one-night stand? Lauren is complicated. She struggled when she found out I'd cheated on her mother years ago. This will be difficult for her, but she deserves to know the truth. Over the next month, Maya navigated the surreal experience of integrating into Michael's family. His wife Jessica was civil but cold. Maya represented her husband's infidelity made flesh. Lauren was hostile, seeing Maya as an intruder trying to claim their father's attention. You're not his daughter, Lauren said during their first meeting. Not really. You're just biological coincidence. Dad raised me. You had your own father. Who isn't actually my father? Maya shot back. At least you know where you came from. I'm the product of a drunk night and a lie that lasted 26 years. Meanwhile, Mia was experiencing her own crisis. She'd always defined herself as Maya's twin. They were a unit, a pair, identical in all the ways that mattered. But now she was Roberto's biological daughter, and Maya wasn't. The symmetry of their relationship had shattered. Do you resent me? Mia asked during one of their increasingly strained conversations. For being Dad's real daughter when you're not? I don't know, Maya admitted. Part of me does. You get to keep your identity intact. You're still Roberto Torres's daughter. No questions asked. I'm the one whose entire existence is based on Mom's lie. But we're still sisters. That doesn't change. Half-sisters, Maya corrected. Scientifically, we're no more related than any other half-siblings. The twin thing was just timing. The distinction was destroying them. They'd always been the Torres twins. Inseparable. Identical in spirit if not appearance. Now they were Maya and Mia, two half-sisters connected by their mother's deception. Roberto was facing his own devastation. He'd raised Maya for 26 years, changed her diapers, taught her to ride a bike, walked her down the aisle at her wedding, and now he discovered she wasn't his biological daughter. Does it change how you feel about her? Carmen asked during one of their court-mandated mediation sessions. They were in the middle of divorce proceedings, but the therapist insisted they discuss the Maya situation. I don't know, Roberto said honestly. I look at Mia and I see my daughter, my blood, my genetics, my legacy. I look at Maya and I see the child I raised, but also the evidence of your betrayal. Every time I see her, I'm reminded that you lied to me for 26 years. So you're going to abandon her? Reject her because of something I did? I'm not rejecting her, but I need space to process that the daughter I thought was mine isn't. That's not her fault, but it's also not something I can just ignore. The revelation had fractured every relationship in the family. Carmen had lost her husband and potentially both daughters. Roberto had lost his marriage and his certainty about his identity as Maya's father. Mia had lost her twin connection, and Maya had lost everything. Her father, her identity, her sense of belonging. 3 months after the DNA revelation, the family gathered for Thanksgiving, a tense, awkward affair that highlighted how broken they'd become. Roberto came alone, refusing to be in the same room as Carmen. Michael Brennan wasn't invited, despite being Maya's biological father. Mia sat between her parents' empty chairs, like a bridge trying to hold together a family that had already collapsed. This is ridiculous, Maya said suddenly, standing up. We're sitting here pretending to be a family, when we all know it's over. Mom's lie destroyed us. We can't go back to what we were. So what do? Mia asked. Just give up? Stop being sisters because we're only half related? I don't know how to be your sister anymore, Maya admitted. Everything I thought I knew about us was wrong. You're Roberto's daughter. I'm Michael's daughter. We happen to share a mother who's a liar. That's all we are now. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Maya shouted. It's not fair that Mom cheated. It's not fair that she lied for 26 years. It's not fair that I have to rebuild my entire identity because of her selfishness. And it's not fair that you get to keep your father while I lost mine. The words hung in the air. Roberto looked at Maya with pain in his eyes. You didn't lose me, mija. I'm still here. Are you? Because you moved out. You won't talk to me without a mediator present. You look at me like I'm a stranger. You lost your daughter, Dad, and I lost my father. We can pretend biology doesn't matter, but we both know it does. The Thanksgiving dinner ended early. the family more fractured than before. But in the weeks that followed, something unexpected happened. Roberto reached out to Maya for coffee, just the two of them. No mediators, no expectations. "I've been in therapy," Roberto said, "trying to process all of this, and my therapist asked me a question that I couldn't answer. If I'd adopted you as a baby, knowing you weren't biologically mine, would I love you less? That's different. Is it? I raised you, Maya. I was there for every moment of your life. The biology is just information. It doesn't erase 26 years of being your father. I've been angry at your mother, and I've been taking that anger out on you. That's not fair." Maya felt tears stream down her face. "But you're Mia's real dad, not mine. I'm both your real dad. Biology makes Mia my biological daughter, but 26 years of love makes you my daughter too. Both things can be true." It wasn't an instant fix. Trust had been shattered, identities questioned, relationships damaged. But it was a start, an acknowledgement that family is more complicated than DNA, that love transcends biology, and that the bond between a father and daughter isn't erased by a genetic test. 6 months after the DNA revelation, Maya sat in a family therapy session with both her fathers, Roberto, who'd raised her, and Michael, who'd contributed half her DNA. The arrangement was awkward, unprecedented, and absolutely necessary. "Maya has 2 fathers," Dr. Sandra Martinez, their therapist, explained. "Neither relationship invalidates the other. Roberto, you raised her for 26 years. That bond is real. Michael, you're her biological father. That connection is also real. The challenge is finding space for both relationships without them competing." Roberto looked uncomfortable. "I don't know how to share being her father. For 26 years, I was Maya's dad. Now there's another man with equal claim to that title." "Not equal claim," Michael corrected gently. "You have 26 years of lived experience with her. I have genetics and guilt. Those aren't the same thing." The acknowledgement eased something in Roberto's face. Over the past months, he'd been working to separate his anger at Carmen from his relationship with Maya. It wasn't easy. Every time he looked at Maya, he was reminded of his wife's betrayal. But he was trying. Maya was navigating her own complicated feelings. She'd been meeting with Michael and his family regularly, building a relationship with her biological father and half-sister Lauren. It was strange and awkward, but also illuminating. She saw parts of herself in Michael that she'd never understood. Her analytical mind, her love of debate, her tendency toward perfectionism. "Lauren hates me," Maya said during one session. "She sees me as proof of her father's infidelity, and she's not wrong. Lauren is protecting her family identity," Dr. Martinez explained. "Just like you're trying to protect yours. Both of you have had your understanding of your fathers disrupted. That creates fear and defensiveness." Meanwhile, Mia was struggling with her own crisis. She'd always been Maya's twin, her other half, her built-in best friend. But now she was Roberto's biological daughter while Maya was not. The asymmetry felt wrong. "I feel guilty," Mia admitted during a joint session with Maya. "Like I won some genetic lottery that you lost. I get to keep Dad without question. You have to navigate 2 fathers and figure out who you are." "It's not your fault," Maya said, though her tone was strained. "You didn't choose to be Roberto's biological daughter any more than I chose to be Michael's. But it changes us. It changes our relationship. We're not twins anymore. Not really. We're half-sisters who happened to be born together." The distinction was destroying what had once been the most important relationship in both their lives. They'd been inseparable for 26 years. Now they struggled to have a conversation without the weight of different fathers hanging between them. Dr. Martinez suggested they needed to redefine their relationship. "You can't go back to what you were. The twin bond you had was built on the belief that you were full biological sisters. Now you know that's not true. But you can build something new, a sisterhood based on 26 years of shared experience, not just genetics." Carmen was facing her own reckoning. Roberto had filed for divorce, and both daughters were barely speaking to her. Her decades-old lie had destroyed her family, and there was no path to redemption that didn't require her daughter's forgiveness she hadn't earned. "I made a choice 26 years ago," Carmen said during her individual therapy. "I chose to lie to protect my marriage and keep my family intact, but I didn't protect anything. I just delayed the devastation by 26 years. Do you regret the lie?" her therapist asked. "I regret the consequences. But if I'm honest, if I'd told Roberto the truth back then, he would have left. I would have raised one daughter alone, whichever one he didn't claim. Maya might have grown up without a father at all. I made the choice I thought was best for my daughters. I just didn't realize how much it would cost them when the truth finally came out. 1 year after the revelation, Maya organized a family dinner, not to celebrate, but to acknowledge. Both fathers were invited, along with Mia, Carmen, and even Michael's daughter Lauren. "This is weird," Lauren said, looking around the table at the assembled family. "We're like a Venn diagram of dysfunction. We're a family built on a biological impossibility and a 26-year-old lie," Maya corrected. "But we're still a family, or trying to be." Roberto spoke first. "Maya, I owe you an apology. When I first found out you weren't my biological daughter, I pulled away. I let my anger at your mother affect my relationship with you. That was wrong. You're my daughter. Biology doesn't change 26 years of being your dad. But you're also Mia's biological father," Maya said. "That has to mean something different. It means Mia and I share genetics. But Maya, you and I share memories, experiences, love. I watched you grow up. I was there for every milestone. That bond is just as real as DNA, maybe more real, because it was built intentionally rather than by accident." Michael added quietly, "I can't compete with that. I didn't raise you, Maya. I didn't know you existed until a year ago, but I'd like to be part of your life, if you'll let me. Not as a replacement father, just as someone who cares about you and wants to know you." "What about me?" Lauren asked, her voice sharp. "Does anyone care that I had to find out my father cheated on my mother and created a secret daughter? That I have to share him with someone who shouldn't exist? I shouldn't exist," Maya repeated, hurt flashing across her face. "That's not what I meant. But it is what you think," Maya said. "That I'm a mistake, an accident, the product of infidelity that disrupted your perfect family." "Yes," Lauren shouted. "That's exactly what I think. My family was fine until you showed up with your DNA test and your claims on my father. Now my parents' marriage is strained. I have to explain to people that I have a half-sister from an affair, and everyone expects me to just accept you with open arms." The room fell silent. Then Mia spoke. "I get it," Mia said to Lauren. "I'm angry at Maya too. Not because she did anything wrong, but because our twin bond is broken. We used to be identical in every way that mattered. Now she's half me and half Michael. It changes everything, and I hate it." "I'm right here," Maya said, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sitting at this table listening to everyone talk about how my existence ruined their lives. But what about my life? I lost my father, my identity, my twin bond. I didn't choose to be conceived during my mother's affair. I didn't choose to have 2 biological fathers. I'm just trying to survive the fallout of everyone else's choices." Carmen finally spoke, her voice breaking. "You're right. This is my fault. My choice, my lie, my affair. Maya, you're paying the price for my mistake. I can't undo it. I can only tell you that I'm sorry, and that I love you, both of you, more than anything." "Love isn't enough, Mom," Maya said. "Love doesn't rebuild trust. Love doesn't fix the damage. Love is just words, unless it's backed up by honesty and accountability." The dinner ended without resolution, because there was no simple resolution to be found. They were a family fractured by biology, lies, and the impossible task of reconciling who they thought they were with who they actually are. But over the next year, something shifted. Small moments of grace. Roberto teaching Maya's husband how to fix a car, the way he'd taught Maya years ago. Michael showing up to Maya's work presentation, proud and supportive. Mia and Maya meeting for coffee, talking about everything except the DNA test, rebuilding friendship before attempting to reclaim sisterhood. Lauren sending Maya a text. "I'm trying. It's hard, but I'm trying." 2 years after the revelation, Maya announced she was pregnant. Both fathers, Roberto and Michael, cried when she told them they'd be grandfathers. Mia was going to be an aunt. Carmen would be a grandmother, despite everything. "What will you tell your child?" Mia asked. "About our family?" "The truth," Maya said. "That family is complicated. That I have 2 fathers who both love me. That biology is just information, not identity. And that sometimes the messiest, most broken families are also the most real." 3 years after the DNA revelation, Maya gave birth to Sophia Rose, a baby girl who carried genetic material from both Roberto's family, through Maya's husband Diego, Roberto's nephew, and Michael's family, through Maya. The coincidence wasn't planned, but it created an unexpected bridge. In the hospital room, both grandfathers stood side by side, looking at the newborn. Roberto held Sofia first, tears streaming down his weathered face. "She has your eyes, mija," and Diego's smile. When he passed the baby to Michael, something remarkable happened. Michael looked at Roberto and said, "Thank you for raising her, for being the father I never got to be. Sofia exists because you loved Maya enough to stay her dad even when you found out she wasn't yours biologically." Roberto nodded, unable to speak. In that moment, two men connected by an impossible situation found common ground: their love for Maya, and now, for Sofia. Mia watched from the corner, her own pregnancy just beginning to show. She'd struggled with jealousy when Maya announced her pregnancy, another reminder that their lives were diverging. But seeing her niece, she felt the familiar twin connection resurface. "She's perfect, Maya. You'll have one soon too," Maya said. "And our daughters will grow up as cousins. Not quite twins, but close. Like us," Mia said. "Not quite full sisters, but close enough." It was the first time in 3 years they'd acknowledged their relationship without pain. Carmen arrived later, hesitant, expecting to be turned away. But Maya surprised everyone by inviting her to hold Sofia. "You're still her grandmother, Mom. That doesn't change because I'm angry at you." "I don't deserve this grace," Carmen whispered. "Probably not," Maya agreed. "But Sofia deserves to know her grandmother. And maybe I'm tired of carrying anger. It's exhausting." Lauren showed up the next day with a gift, a handmade baby blanket. "I'm still working on the whole half-sister thing," she admitted. "But I didn't want to miss this. She's family. Somehow you're family too." Over the next 2 years, the Torres-Brennan family found their rhythm. Roberto and Michael developed an unlikely friendship, bonding over shared grandfatherhood. They attended Sofia's first birthday party together, co-hosted her second, and by her third, they were carpooling to babysit. "We're the world's weirdest blended family," Diego joked. 2 grandfathers, one biological, one by love, both equally invested. "That's exactly what we are," Roberto said. "And it works." Mia gave birth to twin boys, a genetic irony that made everyone laugh and cry. She and Maya's children grew up together, cousins but also something more. The sisters had rebuilt their relationship slowly, carefully, accepting that they'd never be exactly what they were before, but they could be something equally valuable. Carmen earned forgiveness not through apologies but through changed behavior. She showed up consistently, respected boundaries, attended therapy, and most importantly, stopped lying. 5 years after the revelation, Maya invited her to dinner, just the 2 of them, and said, "I forgive you, Mom. Not because what you did was okay, but because holding on to anger is destroying me. So I'm letting it go." Lauren and Maya became genuine friends, bonded by their shared experience of having their identities disrupted by their father's choices. They traded babysitting duties, shared advice about navigating Michael's complicated personality, and eventually, Lauren said, "I'm glad you exist, Maya, even though it was hard at first." 5 years after the DNA test, the entire family gathered for Sofia's 5th birthday party. Roberto and Michael stood together grilling burgers. Carmen and Jessica, Michael's wife, made awkward small talk that had become easier over time. Mia and Maya chased their collective 3 children around the backyard, laughing. "We made it," Mia said, breathless from running. "Somehow we made it through. We're different than we were," Maya replied. "But maybe better, more honest, more real." That evening, as guests departed, Maya stood with both her fathers, her husband, her sister, her mother, and her children, looking at the family that DNA had fractured and love had rebuilt. "I used to think family was about biology," Maya said. "Then I thought it was about choice. Now I know it's about both, and neither. Family is about showing up, telling the truth, doing the work to stay connected even when it's hard. To complicated families," Roberto raised his beer. "To honesty," Michael added. "To forgiveness," Carmen said quietly. "To sisterhood," Mia clinked her glass against Maya's. "To love," Maya finished. "The messy, imperfect, hard-won kind that survives DNA tests, lies, and impossible biological situations." They stood together in the Texas twilight, a family built on heteropaternal superfecundation, a decades-old lie, and the courage to rebuild what truth had shattered. Not perfect, not simple, but profoundly, authentically real.